Welcome back to the divine frequency. If you've made it to this moment, you've already done something courageous. You've looked inward. You've asked questions most are afraid to ask. And now, you're standing at a sacred threshold between what has been and what you're finally ready to release. This episode is not about blame. It's not about shame. It's about clarity. Because when it comes to toxic love, what keeps us trapped isn't just the other person. It's the invisible web of patterns, pain, and programming, woven into our hearts long before we ever met them. Sometimes we mistake chaos for chemistry. Sometimes we call survival love. Sometimes we stay not because we're weak, but because we were taught that love is meant to hurt. But that's not love. That's a wound trying to feel familiar. So today, we'll name it. We'll feel it. And together, we'll begin to release it. Because the most powerful love you'll ever find is the one that teaches you to choose yourself. You are not here to fix someone else. You are not here to earn scraps of affection. You are not here to prove you are worthy. You were always worthy. This episode is your mirror, your medicine, and your permission to break the cycle, to reclaim your power, and to remember what love is supposed to feel like. Safe, true, whole. Let's begin. What is toxic love? Understanding the hidden damage. Toxic love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the silence after a cruel remark. Sometimes it's the feeling of walking on eggshells around someone you adore. It can be subtle, familiar, confusing. And yet its impact runs deep. So what defines a toxic relationship? It's any relationship that consistently undermines your well-being, your sense of self, your peace of mind. It's the love that makes you question your worth, the bond that erodes your joy, the pattern that brings more pain than healing. This toxicity doesn't have to be physical. It can be emotional, psychological, spiritual. It's the partner who manipulates you with guilt. The one who gaslights you into doubting your memories. The one who disappears when you need them most, only to return when you've finally started to heal. It's inconsistency masked as passion. Jealousy disguised as love. Control dressed up as care. It's silent treatments that freeze the connection. Guilt tripping that leaves you doubting your intentions. Blame shifting that twists the truth until you question your own voice. Isolation that slowly detaches you from your support system. And emotional withdrawals that punish you for being vulnerable. But here's the most important truth. Toxic love doesn't always feel toxic at first. In fact, it often feels familiar. It mirrors wounds from childhood. An emotionally unavailable parent. A love that felt like chasing. A connection rooted in proving, fixing, or being enough. And because it feels familiar, we confuse it with destiny. But love is not meant to break you down. It's meant to build you up. To meet you in your fullness, not feed on your emptiness. True love is not chaos, it is calm. It brings peace to the body, mind, and soul. It feels like a safe breath. A sanctuary. A mirror that reflects your light, not your wounds. So the first step in breaking free is recognizing the signs. Do you feel anxious when they don't respond? Do you find yourself apologizing just to keep the peace? Do you shrink your truth to avoid their anger? Do you feel more alone with them than without them? If you whispered yes, even quietly, you're not crazy. You're waking up. And that awakening is sacred. Because once you name it, you begin to reclaim the parts of you that forgot how to feel safe. You deserve a love that brings clarity, not confusion. A love that feels like freedom, not a cage. A love that heals, not haunts. You were never meant to survive love. You were meant to thrive in it. Why we stay, the hidden roots beneath the surface. It's easy to wonder from the outside. Why do people stay in toxic relationships? Why not walk away when it hurts so much? But healing begins when we stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "What happened to me?" Because staying often isn't about weakness. It's about wiring. Many of us were taught that love must be earned. That connection comes through sacrifice. That being chosen means shrinking parts of ourselves to fit. In early childhood, we form our beliefs about love. If love was inconsistent, we learn to chase. If love was conditional, we learn to prove. If love was absent, we learn to survive without it. While secretly starving for it, we recreate what's familiar. Not because it feels good, but because it feels like home. And the body remembers. Even when the mind knows this relationship is hurting us. The nervous system may still equate the chaos with connection. The fear of leaving with abandonment. The silence with safety. Add to this the chemistry of bonding. Oxytocin, the love hormone. Released during intimacy, affection, and even conflict resolution. It can bind us to a person even when they hurt us. The same hormone that bonds a mother to her child can bond us to a partner who triggers our deepest wounds. It's not just emotional. It's biological. And then there's the fear. The fear of starting over. The fear of not finding someone else. The fear of being alone forever. The fear that maybe this is as good as it gets. And beneath it all, the flicker of hope. The belief that they'll change. That if we just love harder, wait longer, bend further, maybe this time, it'll be different. But love isn't transformation through suffering. It isn't a reward for endurance. If someone cannot see your worth, if they cannot hear your truth, if they repeatedly dishonor your boundaries, that is not love. Because true love doesn't make you abandon yourself. It invites you home to yourself. So if you're still in it, be gentle. You're not weak. You're human. You're healing. And now, you're awakening. You're remembering what love is. By finally seeing what it's not. Red flags, subtle wounds, and the disguises of toxic love. Not all wounds leave bruises. Not all harm is loud. Sometimes, toxic love doesn't scream, it whispers. It whispers through silent treatments and withheld affection. Through shifting blame and walking on eggshells. It disguises control as protection. Jealousy as passion. Inconsistency as mystery. And emotional withdrawal as strength. One day, you feel seen. The next, invisible. And it leaves you wondering. Is it me? Am I asking for too much? Maybe I just need to try harder. But love shouldn't leave you confused. Love isn't a maze. It isn't a guessing game. And it should never cost you your clarity, your confidence, or your peace. Here are the red flags that often get mistaken for intensity or just relationship problems. Guilt tripping instead of honest communication. Gaslighting, where your feelings are denied or distorted. Isolation from friends or family. Love bombing followed by sudden coldness. Disrespecting your boundaries then apologizing only to do it again. Using your vulnerabilities against you. Making you responsible for their emotions or failures. Toxic love doesn't always look toxic at first. Sometimes, it's wrapped in charm. Sometimes, it mirrors your deepest wounds. So it feels like fate. When it's really a familiar pattern seeking healing. And sometimes, the most dangerous part isn't how they treat you, but how you begin to treat yourself. You start apologizing for your needs. Doubting your intuition. Shrinking your voice. These are the deepest wounds of all. But here's the truth. Love is not built on fear. Love is not sustained by sacrifice. Love is not measured by how much pain you can endure. Real love feels safe. Real love supports your growth. Real love honors your boundaries. Real love brings you closer to yourself, not further away. If you're in a cycle of confusion, if you keep justifying their behavior, if you feel like you're slowly disappearing, that is your sign. You are not asking for too much. You are remembering what you deserve. And that remembering is the beginning of freedom. The turning point, reclaiming your voice, worth, and power. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when silence becomes too heavy, when shrinking begins to ache, when the whisper inside becomes louder than the noise around you. That moment is not the breaking. It's the awakening. The moment you begin to question, what am I accepting in the name of love? Whose story am I living? Who am I becoming just to be loved by them? And in that sacred pause, you remember. Love should not require the abandonment of self. You were not born to beg for affection, to justify mistreatment, to make yourself smaller in order to fit inside someone else's emptiness. You were born whole, worthy, enough. Reclaiming your power doesn't always start with confrontation. Sometimes, it starts with a whisper. No more. Sometimes, it starts with a boundary. This is not okay. Sometimes, it starts with a return. I miss who I was before I lost myself in this. You begin to speak again. Even if your voice shakes. You begin to say no. Even if your heart aches. You begin to choose peace over chaos. Truth over illusion. Self-respect over temporary validation. And with each act of truth, you are not just leaving a relationship. You are leaving the version of yourself that once believed this was the best love you could have. This is your turning point. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. And from here on, you are no longer available for a love that costs you your soul. You are not here to be someone's emotional project. You are not here to teach someone how to love you. You are here to love yourself so deeply that anyone who cannot meet you in that light falls away. Let the old story go. Let the false mirror break. Let your voice return. Let your worth speak first. This is where the healing begins. How to leave the path out of toxic love. Leaving a toxic relationship isn't just a decision. It's a process, emotional, mental, sometimes even physical. And for many, it is the most courageous act of self-love they will ever make. Because walking away doesn't mean you never loved them. It means you finally chose to love yourself. The first step is acknowledgement. Not just recognizing that the relationship is toxic, but accepting that it is not your job to fix it. You cannot heal someone by losing yourself. You cannot carry both your wounds and theirs. You were not born to shrink, silence, or self-sacrifice in the name of love. The second step is clarity. Write down the moments that broke you. The patterns that repeated. The things you had to convince yourself were okay, but deep down, never felt right. Your clarity is your compass. And when your heart wavers, as it might, this truth will be your anchor. Next comes support. Because leaving doesn't mean being alone. Reach out to trusted friends, a therapist, a support group. If the relationship is abusive, make a safety plan. Your well-being is not negotiable. The brain can confuse chaos with connection. Trauma bonds can feel like love. Withdrawal can feel like heartbreak. But these feelings are not proof that you should stay. They are proof that your nervous system is untangling. You may grieve, not just the person, but the future you imagined. That is normal. Grieve it. Honor it. And then, bless it and release it. Because you are not leaving love behind. You are walking toward a truer version of it. The kind that doesn't require your silence, your suffering, or your surrender. Leaving is not the end. It is the beginning. The doorway back to yourself. So take a breath. Gather your courage. And if you're still afraid, take another breath. You don't have to be fearless to leave. You only have to be willing. Because on the other side of goodbye is a homecoming. And it begins with one sacred step, outward, yes, but also inward. You are not breaking down. You are breaking free. You've arrived at the threshold, the space between what was and what can be. And even if your heart is still aching, even if your hands are still trembling, the fact that you are here, listening, feeling, awakening, that is everything. Because healing is not always loud. Sometimes it is a quiet decision whispered in the dark. I cannot stay in what breaks me. I deserve more than survival. I am ready to come home to myself. This is not weakness. This is power, the kind that rises from within. If you've ever stayed too long, forgive yourself. If you've ever mistaken pain for love, hold your heart with compassion. You did the best you could with what you knew. And now, you know more. You are not broken. You are remembering. And with each breath, you are writing a new story. One where your love does not cost your peace. One where your worth is not measured by someone else's ability to see it. One where you no longer settle for fragments. Because you now know, you are whole. Leaving a toxic relationship is not just about exiting a situation. It is about reclaiming your soul. It is about saying, I choose to be seen, to be valued, to be loved without condition. Even if that love begins with you. So here is your invitation. If you are still in it, begin to gather your strength. If you have left, begin to rebuild your truth. If you are healing, let the process unfold in grace. There is life after heartbreak. There is peace after chaos. There is joy on the other side of pain. And the version of you that is waiting there. They are not just surviving. They are glowing. And when you doubt, return to this truth. You were never meant to be caged by someone else's fear. You were meant to fly in the light of your own becoming. Let love be freedom. Let love be peace. Let love begin again, with you. If this episode touched your heart, please share it with someone who needs this message. Subscribe to stay close as we continue this journey together. In the next episode, we'll explore a sacred and often misunderstood truth, why women, in particular, find it so hard to leave even when it hurts. We'll dive into the biology of female bonding, the powerful role of oxytocin, and the impact of emotional imprinting, how the heart records connection, even when the mind wants to let go. And we'll explore how to heal through self-reconnection, reparenting, and emotional sovereignty. Until then, stay rooted in your truth. Stay in your light. And stay with us. As we continue to awaken, break old cycles, and live fully in the divine frequency.